Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. I'm getting started today. I'm working on my sweater. I just figured I would turn on the live while I was crocheting so that I can, I don't know, kill two birds with one stone, I guess. What do you think I should talk about today, Alex? I don't know. Okay, so I'm opening my book today and I'm going through some of the questions that I have for mentors. Like when I meet with a mentor, what I ask them, what I want answered basically about growing and developing as a an online person. So I've gotten together with several different makers and different creators who are way ahead of me, and I've taken a lot of their advice and I've written down a lot of things that they told me, and I figured I could tell you guys that because I'm nowhere, and it really helped me kind of figure out more of a direction for what I want to do. And so I think I will go through some of those questions, and maybe I'll answer them even though they're kind of like questions that I have been asking them. I'll answer them, and I'll answer them in the way that they sort of answered to me so that I can tell you kind of what they said and how they developed their brands. I have 2 teas today this morning because I'm feeling like, I don't know, hungover is what I feel like this morning. I've got like a bit of my eyes are puffy and tired. I don't drink, so it's not like that's not what I'm feeling, but I can feel that my eyes are a little bit tired, a little bit puffy. So I have 1 hot water and lemon and 1 regular orange pekoe tea. But yes, so these are questions for a mentor. If you are starting a small business or if you're starting to make your side hustle a thing, you should get a mentor. That's one of the things that I've picked up from having one, but also from I went to a business grant thing. So I got a grant last year, but part of the grant was that you had access to sort of like a business school. So from that, the main key thing was that businesses with mentors or business people with mentors have like an 85% better chance of surviving for 5 years than someone who doesn't. So if you don't have a mentor, it might be something that you should think about. And you might think it's like a weird or awkward thing to ask someone, but when people are asked if they will meet up for like a mentor meeting, they love it. Like I've never been told no. And like I'm not a pushy person when I try to ask for things. So I think that it has more to do with the fact that it's not something that people are uncomfortable saying yes to. So one of the most important questions I found was, how do you spend most of your time? It can be really easy when you're working alone or when you're working from home or when you're like the boss. It can be really easy to like lose time. I don't want to say waste because everything is cumulative. Everything that you work on based on your business model or your business plan is cumulative. You're always moving forward in the right direction as long as you're doing something regarding your business. But at the same time, good morning. Tea is a good thing. Yes, but at the same time, you should really be aware of how you're spending your time as opposed to just like living each day out and then feeling like you didn't get anything completed. So what I found is most useful for me is to have a little notebook or a few little notebooks. Like I have one notebook that is just for like, this is like my arts and crafts and designs and ideas book. And then I have a completely different book for like lists and planning. And then I have like a crazy different book for like the fun things. Like I have like all the names I love for babies and like all the trees I want to plant someday. I have the weird book that doesn't really fit into all the other books. But how I find a really good way to effectively manage my time is to write everything down and to set myself up for success the night before. So, hi to those of you who've joined. I've kind of decided that today's live stream is going to be a little bit talking about running a small business and mentorship and how to like help yourself as a small business person. And also I'm working on a sweater, and the sweater is going to look like what the thumbnail had in it, but I'll show you again. It looks like this. Well, it doesn't yet, but it will. Right now it's just a bunch of pieces, but it's gonna be awesome, I hope. All right, back to my, one sec, I gotta find that page again. There we go. Okay, so how do you spend most of your time? So lately, what I've been really trying to do is wake up really nice and early. Because if you wake up at 7:30 in the morning, which is a lot of people's morning time, then you've missed, like the sun is up already, you've missed all of that early quiet time. If you wake up at 5:30, it sucks for like 2 weeks. But after those 2 weeks, from 5:30 till 7:30, you've just given yourself an additional 2 hours in your day, and you can waste that 2 hours, so to speak. Or you can be hyper productive, and then when you have a harder time in the afternoon maintaining some kind of organization, it doesn't feel like you've wasted so much time. So that's what I like to do. I like to start early, and I like to have a nice hot beverage with a couple of YouTube videos while I work on some crochet. That's what I usually do when I start my mornings, and it just kind of amps me up without feeling like it's cutting into the actual workday. So if I had started at like 7, it's like, then I feel like I've wasted time, which I don't really like. By the way, is this not the coolest mug? It's just like a mug full of fun facts and stuff, like how to tie a tie, or like how the, I don't know, the Celsius and Fahrenheit work. It's cool. My little sister gave it to me. And Thunder has already had his morning meal and had his little stroll around, and now he's gonna roll himself up and sleep until probably like 10, and then he'll wake up and ask for some playtime. Okay, moving on. I always ask, what would you do if you were me? And the reason I leave it that vague is because how people answer is always going to be different when you leave a question vague, which means you'll be able to get different feedback each time. So they might answer based on your age as the answer. What would you do if you were me? Well, if I was your age. Or they might say, well, if I was a woman in business, or they might say if I was starting a handmade business. So they answer it based on their experience rather than based on the specificity of your question. And I find that to be, I don't know, more eye-opening for me. I like to leave the questions open enough that the person I'm talking to has like lots of room to develop their answer, but specific enough that it actually does help me. I also, when I ask a question, I never want to make them feel stumped. Like I never want to ask a question they don't have an answer to, because like I'm asking them for help. I'm not asking them to quiz them. You know what I mean? So that's what I usually do. And usually they'll answer based on like one of the identifiers of myself, or they'll say something along the lines of, well, this is how we're similar and this is what I did, which is also really helpful. Next, I say, is there anything that I can do that can be helpful to you? And that's important, I think, because when you've asked someone to take time out of their day, which may be considered wasted time for them because you're a nobody. So if you've asked someone to take time out of their day, there should be some reciprocity there. Something along the lines of at least the offer of like, is there anything that I can be doing to make this work for both of us? And that might be something like, I don't know. Like, what could you do for somebody? I mean, you could offer how something that you've learned. Maybe like, so when I met someone else who's also a YouTuber, she's way ahead of like anywhere near where I am. But when I met with her, I asked her what software she was using, and then after she told me about what software she was using, and rather than asking how I could help her, I added in a couple of really good tips that I had learned about the software she was using. So therefore, it was kind of like it was helpful. So that way she got something from it as well, rather than it just being me taking. Because if you take, nobody wants to meet up with you again. You have to be like a conversation. There's talking and listening. So in a mentorship, there's the mentor and the mentee, but everybody needs to be benefiting from it. So I think that's something that's important to think about, is that even if they've agreed to be your mentor, it doesn't mean that you can just take. And another question I really like to ask is this where you thought you would, or is this where you planned you would end up? And usually the answer is no. Most people change their like strategy throughout their business ventures, and that's totally okay. But it's also really refreshing to hear that from someone who's successful. So in the case of that more advanced YouTuber, no, her plan was not that at all. And knowing that, and knowing that she had a career prior to YouTube, made it feel way more accessible and way less scary. So I found that that was a good question as well. I always like to ask as well what they're most proud of. So when you're dealing with a mentor, it's really nice to be able to find somebody that you can connect with. Kind of like, I kind of think of it like the best mentors I've had have been kind of like aunts, aunts, whatever. Not like a sister, not like a mother, but kind of like a family member who's not quite so close, like a great aunt. That's how I like to think of the best mentor-mentee relationships. It's like someone who cares about you, but who's not going to be like worrying about you all the time. You know what I mean? I also really like to ask, what are your hobbies? When I'm asking mentors questions, or potential mentors questions to see if we're like a good fit, I like to ask what they like to do, because sometimes having similar hobbies can make it really convenient and really easy. Let me see if I can just push that down so that you can see what I'm working on a little better. Yeah, so sometimes I like to do that, but it can be really nice if they have nothing in common with you still, because then they're coming from a completely different angle and they might be able to give you advice you've literally never considered, because they're looking at it from maybe like a completely different market, a completely different angle. So I like that. A big one is, do you have feelings of self-doubt, and how do you overcome them? Because that is something that I will always struggle with, feeling as if I don't deserve what I've got, or feeling as if I haven't earned it, even though I've been working towards what I work towards for years, and I'm still working towards it. It's that feeling that creeps in that like you shouldn't be able to be doing what you're doing. And that is so stupid that it's not helpful. So I don't know why it just keeps sneaking in. But at the same time, asking somebody else who's way more successful than you that question, and just hearing them say, oh yeah, all the time. Sometimes I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. Just having someone say that who you look up to is a really good feeling. It's kind of twisted, but it's a good feeling to know that you're not alone. You know what I mean? So asking questions that give you some feeling of solidarity in your self-doubt are good. But also, I don't know if you've ever followed Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, but he kind of lives by this motto of, well, yeah, they're going to be there, but you have to like get past it. You just have to move on from it. And a way that I've found that is effective for moving on is talking to someone else who's also feeling that and still pushing through. It makes me want to go, well, if they're pushing through, there's absolutely no reason for me to be hung up on this, because how am I going to succeed if I can't push through self-doubt? That's just me. Like feeling like you're not good enough is only going to hurt you. It's not going to like do anything for anyone else. It's just going to slow down your progress. So trying to buckle down and look forward and keep my eyes ahead it's difficult. I mean, my support system really helps with that, but I find also talking to other people who are feeling that way makes it feel more manageable. Also, halfway through a mentor meeting, I like to also ask if I have my questions. I like to write them down as well, which is why I've got them in my book. But I like to say somewhere halfway through the meeting, if I come up with a specific question later, do you mind if I follow up with an email? That way it's not so formal, like at the end of your mentor meeting, you won't be like awkwardly asking for a second date. That's kind of what it feels like if you make it all the way to the end of the meeting. So I like to ask it in the middle. At that point, you've kind of broken the ice and it's casual. Mentor meetings are like awkward first dates with usually an older person than you who's more experienced than you, which makes it even more awkward because like you're asking for help from someone it's just asking for help is hard. Asking for help from a stranger is even harder. Asking for help from a stranger who is kind of your competition in a weird way is even stranger. So it just gets a little bit awkward and difficult. I also like to say, what do you wish you'd known when you started? And then I specify depending on who I'm speaking to. So I'll say like, what do you wish you knew about video editing when you started? Or what do you wish you'd known about being a woman in business when you started? Or something along the lines, whatever I'm curious about that day, I like to sort of tailor that question. And it's a nice one for just information gathering. Pretty much whenever I'm in a mentor meeting, I try to just gather information. I'm usually a spewer of information. I just keep going with sound, and I try to really recognize that can be a strength, but in certain situations like a mentor meeting, it's a weakness. If I'm in a mentor meeting and I'm not the mentor, like that's not why I'm there. I'm not there to brag. I'm there to collect. So I'm collecting as much information as I can. I also really like to ask who they look up to in the field that they're in, because just seeing who somebody's mentor is, you can really see where they were aiming or what kind of goals that they have. So if you were with like someone who is a motivational speaker as your mentor and you say like, who do you look up to? And they say like Gary V. Well, then you can go and look up that person and kind of like work backwards and see if it's something that you jive with, because maybe that's not your vibe. And maybe that's something that's like really, I don't know, gritty for you and you don't want it. So it's good to know, because then you can find another mentor, or you can find that mentor useful because they're giving you insight to something you really wouldn't have access to otherwise. And I say, this one I really like because, okay, I'm a big fan of templates, lists, like goal boards, Post-it notes, push pin boards, whiteboards. I like having everything good morning amazing. I like having any form of organization. It really helps me stay organized because I am a very scatterbrained person. So I need to have physical things. I couldn't work entirely online, like with no physical things outside here, because it would, I would just lose myself in it. I need physical like lists and stuff. So I like to say, what do we have? Do you have a template that you use for your long range visioning or your goals? Do you have a template for your short term ones? Do you have any specific apps that you use? Do you have any specific tools that you can't go without? And I've learned so many different apps that I didn't even know existed that are meant to build business. So one of those, which I want to share with you, if you're in business, it's awesome. If you know someone who's in social media related business, so like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if Twitter makes money for you. I don't think Twitter makes you money because I don't engage with Twitter. It's difficult and it's dark. I don't really love the vibe. Like I tweet from when I post a video, it like automatically does it, but like I only go on Twitter for news, so I'm sorry, it's just not my social media platform. But the other ones, there's a social media thing. I guess it's an app. It's called the Social Blue Book. And I haven't done tons of research into it, but I've been recommended to look at it several times by other business people. And from what I understand, it helps determine your value online. So like, it's like you enter all of your information about like your social medias regarding your business, and that translates to how much you should be worth to a brand. So for example, like, I love this wool. If I wanted to have this company pay me to use their wool in a video, which you would need to have like a huge following to have that happen. That's not like a realistic goal for me. It's also right now not one of my goals, but if I wanted that to start happening, I could enter all of my information into this Social Blue Book, and they might spit out like, let's say $500, just a number. Your videos are worth $500 a piece in advertising because 100,000 people watch it. That translates to XYZ. This is how much you're worth. And then that is a trusted resource. So I could use that, email that information to the company and say, look, this app, which is a trusted resource, has said I'm worth about $500 per video. Are you willing to pay me $500 per video? I will advertise your thing. And then they can say no, which is probably going to be like 10 out of 10 times for most people, which you just kind of have to get used to if you're in business anyway. Like, no is something you need to be really comfortable with hearing. So that's like a whole video on its own, is just learning to not feel bad when people tell you no, because if you're running a business, you'll shut down if that's something that's going to hurt your feelings. You just have to get over the words no. But yes, the Social Blue Book is supposed to be something that I should try. I've obviously been a little bit slacking in that one, but it's on my list and it's in my book, which means it'll get done. I also have, from the beginning until now, how long have you been working on this goal? So that one usually makes me feel way better about my like situation, because everybody thinks that when you end up getting success, or when someone gets success, that it just happened. And everybody says like, oh, well, it's easy. Like, what do you even do? You make videos. Okay, so you turn a camera on. And like, okay, for live streaming, that is what I did. I just turned on the camera. But for making a video, no, it takes me like a week to make a video, because I have to make a sweater, which is a project. I have to film it, which makes it take twice as long anyway, just because I need to be explaining what I'm doing while I do it. And then on top of that, I need to edit it, and I need to cut it down into something that people will be willing to watch. So if it took me 11 hours on camera to make, so I have 11 hours of footage, I have to crop that down to 36 minutes so that people are willing to watch it. And cropping down that when I talk the way that I talk is nearly impossible. I need to recognize that I need to take a break between each sentence. I guess that's something I'm still working on. Also, do you see these cute pearls? I must tell you about them because they make me feel nice. I found these pearls in a snowbank in Ottawa in, what, like 2011? 2010, 2011. And I couldn't find the owner for them because there's no way to find the owner to them. I took them to a jewelry store because I didn't know if there was some hidden way to know. And I got it appraised because I worked at that jewelry store at the time. And they are really nice pearls, and I found them. So now I like think of them like a person, like whoever lost them. I like think of these pearls, like when I wear them, I try to think of like that they mattered to somebody else, because I just like them because they're beautiful, but I wear them as if I wear them like they are the gift that they are. Like they were a gift for someone. You receive pearls as a gift, right? Anyway, it's kind of like, I love jewelry that belonged to someone else. I say to Alex, when we get married, I would love if we could get like antique bands, because like wedding bands, because it's like then somebody else already had their love, you know, with those ones. Anyway, he wants new ones, so probably we'll go with that, because I can just have him give me antique rings as gifts instead, so it's good that way. But yeah, that's my pearls story. That's all I've got for my questions for a mentor, but at the same time, I am going to just keep talking about being a small business and how that's going. So I will say it's freaking hard, and it's not always fun to be making videos, and it's not always fun, and it's not always easy. And people assume that since you are working from home and you get to hang out with your pets all day and you get to live in the coolest city, yes, obviously, like, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely privileged and I'm definitely blessed and I feel those things. But it's not always easy, and that's okay. I think recognizing that having feelings is a legitimate thing is something that I needed to, that I still need to grow with, because feelings for me are not going to go away. I'm a feeler. I've got a lot of feelings, and expecting myself to grow out of them is slowing me down. Like, it just makes me feel worse. It doesn't help me get past those feelings. So when I'm feeling like, oh my God, should I just go get a job? And I go through these things like once a month. Alex, I don't even have a job. And he says, like, what are you talking about? Yes, you do. You work like 12-hour days on your job. Like, what do you mean? You do have a job. Your job isn't what other people understand to be a job. I think that's the problem, is that when I explain to people that I have money coming in from the things that I do, they scoff at it as if it's not real. Like, for example, okay, they don't scoff at it. I interpret their reaction as judgment. I should say that, because I can't assume that anyone is giving me exactly what I interpret. I can be more sensitive, so I can be assuming things are deeper than they really are. But basically, what it feels like from my reception end is that people think that it's all sunshine and rainbows, which it isn't, because like on a month when you don't make as much money as you intended to, it's stressful. And on a month when you make more money than you intended to, you can't brag about it, because it's not, it's only for you. But when you're working in a job where your monthly income, it fluctuates, it feels so good when you like double what you did last month. But last month you were like basically failing. Like, it feels like you were drowning and now you're flying. But you can't say like, so last month I could barely pay my bills and this month I can pay next month's bills. It's like, that doesn't really translate to like people who are working like a day-to-day office job so much. And I mean, my family tries to be supportive with it, oh, that's good. I'm glad you can pay your bills. Like, I'm glad things are going well. I'm glad you have savings, or like whatever the excitement is about. But the only people who can really feel it with you are people doing what you're doing. So I think that's something that is really important to recognize, is that you need to find a community. Like, assuming that you can do it on your own is stupid. That's a stupid assumption, and it does make an ass out of you and me for real, because making assumptions about anything is always bad. But thinking that you could do everything on your own is not, it's not wise, and it's not strong. You're not stronger because you can do it on your own. If you could do it with a community, I feel like you're stronger then, because it's hard to work with people all the time and to communicate with people effectively. But you need to practice those skills, because even though maybe right now you're working on your own and you're just, if you're a handmade like seller, you're making your stuff and selling it to your client. But if you end up, I don't know, having a couple 100,000 people follow you, or if you have several thousand people watching your content, then that's going to change. It just is. You're going to have to interact with other people, because at that point, brands or companies may reach out to you. And so you need to be able to talk professionally in a business like light with those people. And if you aren't practicing throughout your growth, you're not going to have effective communication skills in a business setting. And I do not have effective communication skills because of my feelings. I usually have them get in the way of effectively communicating. Not in a business sense, because I just try to completely cut my feelings out of when I'm interacting in a business way. But like, it is definitely something that I am still working on, and something that I'll probably be working on for a really long time. I'll probably just always be working on it. Again, I am very lucky because I have a total solid rock in Alex. He is working. He's got headphones on, but he's working from home today. But he's very he's a very chill and very like, he's very pulled together. So he kind of holds everything together while I tornado around him. He's like the center of the storm. He's very calm, but very direct and like very sharp. And I'm just a total mess of destruction and creation all around him. But like, that's the way that we like it. He says like, it's like, he's got a umbrella, so he doesn't really mind my rain. You know what I mean? He always carries an umbrella, so it's okay. Plus, I make rainbows. Or at least I make striped things. I have a striped sweater. I don't know what I'm gonna make next. I think that's what my problem is that I need to make an order for my wool. I need to do like my Christmas wool order. And not for Christmas gifts so much, but more for like my Christmas videos, which will end up being things for Alex or myself. And I don't really know what I want to make just yet. I know I want to do something like super offensively Christmassy, like red and green and white and big and in your face, like maybe like some color work that makes it like a Santa outline. Also, hi to the four of you. Nice to have our morning tea together. If you're having tea, if you're having coffee, then that's cool too. If it's not morning where you are, that's also cool. Today in Toronto, just so you know, we've got almost full cloud cover and traffic jams everywhere downtown. If you haven't had this before, just cut a slice of lemon and put hot water in it. It's actually like really nice and refreshing. And I'm just gonna hold up the other piece of this sweater. I figured out how I'm gonna finish this sweater. If you were watching yesterday, I was a little bit concerned with how I was gonna make it fit again. So what I did was over several rows, I reduced the number of stitches so that it comes back together the way, so it's not 1,000 inches wide. And now it's super baggy and puffy, just the way I want it to look on both sides. And now the shoulders will be seamed like this, and then I'll add the sleeves there. And it'll be a little bit off the shoulder, I think. I think that's what I'm going for now, is something like kind of like that sort of a height, but you can see how baggy it's gonna look. I'm actually gonna stand up a little bit so you can see how baggy it's gonna look. Or at least I'll back up. Look, isn't that gonna be so cute? It'll be like that, and it'll be like super chill and super loungy, which is gonna be exactly what I was aiming for, which makes me feel very good about it. Oh, also, yesterday I live streamed on another platform. I'm trying a couple of different things new this week where I'm going to be doing alternating days. I'm going to stream on YouTube and I'm going to stream on Twitch just to see if that translates to anything different, because Twitch is another streaming service and there's a new handmade community there. So I figured I would give it a shot. And there was a larger international presence there. I had some people from Germany and some people from Belgium and the US, which was cool. So the cool thing about that, though, was I got a really cool suggestion, and I posted it on my Instagram story last night because it like changed my life. And I'm just gonna let you know exactly what it is, because I can't even remember what it was called, but it was really cool. So I was trying to figure out what I should do with my oiled wool Aran sweaters. And somebody sent me this website, freevintagecrochet.com, freevintagecrochet.com. And holy moly, it is the coolest. It's all free crochet patterns, and they're all like antique. They're so pretty. They're from like the 50s and the 40s, and there were some from like the 20s, and like how to make like wartime socks and stuff were on there. But they're pretty clear instructions if you know your way around like a crochet hook. you really could figure it out. The gauge and the hook sizes are kind of not accurate because they're based on like the old numbers and stuff. So you might have to sort of do a little research to figure out what size of hook and what type of yarn, because it just says yarn for a lot of them. But by seeing the picture, you can see like if they mean sport weight or like DK or whatever, you can see it. So yeah, I'm like obsessed. So now I only have 4 ounces of this, which I think translated to like 250 yards in that weight of wool. So I don't have very much. So I was looking at some of the patterns, and I think that I need to start making collars, because they had like 30 or 40 patterns on just making cuffs and collars that you put on like on top of a dress, and it was so cute. I don't think I can do it with that wool because that's meant for something super warm. But what I was thinking I could do with that wool is begin a sweater, because the company Briggs and Little, they have an Aran weight yarn, and I thought if they do, that would, I don't know if it's oiled though. Like this one's like, it feels gross, like greasy, and it leaves your fingers feeling greasy. So I think I'm gonna reach out to them and ask if it's like that, like if it's greasy wool. And if it is, then maybe what I'll do is I'll buy some of their wool, enough to make a sweater, and then I could just do like the cuffs in this one. Do you think that would work? It's like this super old yellow. Honestly, I would love if I could do the whole sweater in like antique, and then I could follow like an antique sweater pattern, because this is like really old yarn, like not 100 years old, but it's definitely like 50-year-old wool. And it's like you can tell when you're unwinding it because it's like stuck together like twine. But I'm still really excited to use it for something, and I don't know exactly what I want to make, but I don't want to make a hat. I want it to be part of a garment. So I kind of think the cuffs of a sweater would be a nice way to use it. But yeah, I want to find out if all Aran yarn is oily like that. And then if that's the case, then I'll just, in my next order of wool, I'll just pick up enough to make a sweater in that style. And then I'll just use that yellow for the cuffs. But that freevintagecrochet.com, that's going to be my new fun thing for stash busting, because there are so many like cute little hats and little bonnets and stuff like that that are on that website that are so cool. freevintagecrochet.com. And oh, hi guys, there's a few new people. Nice to see you. So yeah, that's kind of like what I did last night, was just go through there and pick out all of my my favorite patterns. And there were a few, you guys, that like spoke to me. Like there was this awful men's cardigan that was just beautifully, it looked pretty simple to be honest, but also it was just, all of them were some of them were very dated. So like that cardigan, it was like, it looked like an old time fisherman's cardigan that just, it's like they didn't even take a picture of it when it was new. They waited till they had it for a long time and the picture's old and black and white. But I don't know, it was pretty cool, and it made me want to make it for Alex. So I might still do that, and then I could use this yarn, because then I would be using a vintage pattern. Oh my god, and then the number of patterns they had for like fitted cropped sweaters for ladies who wear 1950s style dresses, which is pretty much my like only style of dress, because I make the majority of my dresses. So I make what I like, and what I like is a fitted like, you should know, I'm violently pear-shaped. That's just the life that I live, which is fine. Being pear-shaped is what I live with. So what that means is that I have a pretty narrow like top half, but then it comes out to like a substantially bigger bottom half. I most of my life I've been like a 4 or a 6 up top, and then like a 12 for my hips. So that can be difficult when you're a teenager, but like when you grow up, they like big butts and they cannot lie, so I'm not really worried about that anymore. But now what I like is having my dresses be fitted right up until my skinniest point, and then I just have them completely flare out. And by making them myself, I can make sure that they're totally tailored to me. So that's what I like to do. Also, it makes me take way better care of them because I'm like in love with the things that I make. So since I wear a lot of cropped dresses or a lot of flared out dresses, wearing like a full length sweater with them it's not cute because the length of the sweater bunches to, you know what? Hold on one sec. You stay there one sec. I'm gonna go grab one of my dresses so that I can explain. Okay, so I've got a couple of my dresses, my go-tos. So this is my favorite fall dress. You can see there's like a ton of fabric at the bottom. I've got tons going on. It's a full circle for the bottom. So the top is super duper fitted though, which means if my sweater goes to here, that sweater begins to impede the natural flow of my skirts. So instead, I like to have the sweaters crop at the skinny part of my waist so that the skirt itself remains super flowy and long. And on that website, the freevintagecrochet.com, they had tons of sweaters that seemed to crop right at that level. So as you can see, these are exactly the same dress. I just made it twice. I actually made it like 6 times, but this is like I tried to do one that was a little fancier, so I included some little heart lace at the bottom. Isn't this a beautiful cotton? And just so you know, these are both made with quilting cotton because I liked the pattern. This one I still love. It's got gold detailing all around everything. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but around all of the, like, there's an outline around every little motif and it's like gold thread. So it actually like glitters, even though it looks casual. When you're out and about, it's super pretty and femme. I love dressing up very feminine, but for the most part, when I'm at home, I'm wearing like tights. So it's not the case. And then I've got one more I thought I would show you just so you can see. I changed this one a little bit from the original pattern. So instead of doing a circle skirt, I included some pleats where the darts were. So on all of the dresses, there's darts, but it's a circle skirt. I didn't have the same amount of fabric for this one though, so I made some pleats as to have it line up with that dart. I thought it would make it pretty. And yeah, this one's not quilting cotton, but I love this one. And I lined this one with muslin, which was a bad idea because muslin is, it shrinks every time it goes in the dryer. And I made all of these dresses dryer safe because I live with a man. And unfortunately, one of the fun things about guys is that they just throw everything in the dryer. So where did my one I'm working on? Here we go. So yeah, anyway, I really just wanted to make cropped sweaters for the most part now because I want to be able to wear them out with everything. And I have now my one right here, my one super warm sweater that I made out of thick, fat wool, and I don't need another one. Like I need more dressy sweaters. So that website had a whole bunch of like fitted cropped sweater with cute details and stitches that I've never seen, but with instructions that were pretty reasonable and pretty, I don't know, I thought I could do it. So I'm very happy about that because I've been like making up my cropped sweater patterns, but to have them pre-written is amazing because I'm not like a vintage person, but when I dress up, I look like a 1950s politician's wife. That's what my sisters say anyway. Especially when I wear my pearl earrings and my pearl necklace. The only thing that doesn't fit in is my hair. But when I style it like Jackie Kennedy style with my dresses, I like it. I'm definitely switching my teeth now. So we've got a few people here today. I hope you guys are having a good morning. And getting something done, or at least relaxing a little bit before the day begins. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So the sweater I'm wearing now is not a handmade, in case you were wondering. This one's not. This one was a gift. And I've considered pulling it apart for the yarn because the fit is not perfect on me. It's kind of like, it's like boxy, but then what's going on here? Like, it's like they didn't plan for this. Like, this feels like it should have been reduced out. Like, it feels like that should be flat, but it doesn't sit flat even when you're standing. It's not a super flattering shirt, and it is my size. Anyway, I've been considering pulling it apart. At least the sleeves are fine. I've been considering pulling the body apart and just making a new body part of the sweater, but I don't know how that'll go with this. So we'll see. But for now, I'm just kind of wearing it because it's super comfy. It's cotton, which is nice, and it's, it's good enough from here up. It looks cute with a skirt when a high-waisted skirt is tucked in too, so I'll wear that. Also, this is where we're at. We've got 1 row of the brown, and I need to do 3 more rows of this brown before I begin reducing, like I did in the previous piece. So that's where we're at. Oh, also 1, 2, 3. I'm wearing handmade socks that are wool that I got at a yard sale for $1. And they were brand new. They were tied together with a piece of yarn, and they were clearly like they were blocked brand new. Like, they were like flat and perfect. And I saw them, and I've been looking online for like handmade socks, but I know that usually they're like $30, $40, $50 when you're looking in Canada anyway. And I understand why, because it's like really hard to make for me. So for me, $40 is like it makes sense that it costs that much, but at the same time, I can't justify it right now for a pair of socks. So when I saw them and I said, "Oh, how much are these?" The little girls who were at the yard sale, they were like, "Oh, $1." And I was like, "Where are these from?" "Oh, our grandma made them, but we have too many pairs. We don't need them." I was like, "You're not a good granddaughter. You should never give away handmade socks." Not for $1 anyway, geez Louise. So I take very good care of them because I really like them, and because they're my only pair right now of handmade socks. That would be, if I wish that I had a knitter in my life, because if I did, I would say, I will make you anything that you want if you make me socks. I'll trade you, because I don't know how, and anytime I try to make something very, very small, I get overwhelmed, and I know that that's not a reason to quit, but it is a reason I have quit a lot in the past, is the stress of missing a stitch or dropping a stitch. Oh my God, if I drop a stitch in knitting, it's all over. So yeah, I would love to make a knitter friend who isn't a crocheter so that I can trade them crochet for knitwear. Yeah. Buy the yarn that you want, and I'll make you whatever you want, and then I'll buy the yarn that I want, and you make me a pair of socks. That's what I need. That's the kind of friendship I'm looking for. That, and people who are just like understanding of the fact that my job is, I don't know, valid enough. You know what I mean? Jelly beans. So what are we at now? 7:48, and it's Thursday. So only a couple more days, and then I'm gonna head over to the farm. I'm going to my parents' farm this weekend, 1, 2, 3, because I haven't been there it's been 2 weekends that I haven't gone up, and I usually go up every weekend with Alex, and we spend the day just sort of working on the farm and helping, and also like having fun. Like, I collect things, and Alex does work on the computer as well. But we haven't gone up a couple of weekends. Last weekend, the highways were closed on their way into Toronto, and the weekend before, I just didn't want to go up, so we didn't. And this weekend, we're going to go up, and I hope that everything's not gone. Like, fall is still definitely here, but I hope that all the apples aren't just off the trees. The farm that my parents have has apples and pears and peaches and plums and cherries. So at this time of year, that pretty much means a few Bosc pears are left, and then whatever apples have managed to stay on the trees as long as there wasn't any frost. And I don't think they had more than like one soft frost. I don't think there's been a hard frost out there. They're out in Beamsville, which is around the lake, basically around Lake Ontario, on its way to Niagara Falls. And their farm, their little farm, is not a production farm yet, but it's definitely on its way there. It's got production level apples and pears. Just my parents are not farmers yet, so it'll probably take them a couple of years to sort of figure out what direction they want to go with that farm. It makes me laugh though, because they're starting a small business, and I never would have thought my parents would be small business owners. It's just not what I would have guessed for them. And it makes me really happy. And part of my soul believes that they would have always wanted it. And like maybe my entrepreneurial spirit was pushed because they wanted to have been able to do it, and they couldn't until much later. So maybe they were like, oh, she wants to do entrepreneuring, whatever that means. Go for it. And maybe that's why it was easy for me to decide my direction. And by easy, I mean mostly difficult most of the time, but like easy in the sense that I didn't feel guilty for not using my degree. Like I have a degree in sociology and a degree in anthropology, and like I use it all the time because post-secondary education has helped me think in a new way. So yes, it's definitely been useful, but I'm not being paid more because I have that degree. But my parents have not made me feel any less than any of my siblings for choosing a direction like that, which I think is great because all three of my siblings have like real and good grown-up jobs. So I'm like this middle Tasmanian devil who is just floundering about figuring out her way. But it seems like everybody's pretty okay with it. So I'm okay with it sometimes. Thunder, you're so cute, buddy. He is just a cutie bear, isn't he? Anyway, I know we started talking about business and mentorship and stuff like that, but I don't really know where else to go with that direction because I'm not yet a successful business. But you know what I will say? I'm going to do a little bit of a affirming. I think this is the general undertone of this is affirmation. And my affirmations are that I know I've done better this year than I did last year. And I know I've done better this month than I did last month. And if I look back on videos that I made a year ago, and I look at videos I made last week, there's visible and significant improvement. Just figuring out the volume of music took time. Just figuring out where to find the music took time. Figuring out if a video should or shouldn't have it, or color correcting, that didn't even start until this year because that was not even on the radar. I was just dealing with cutting and editing. So now that I'm dealing with more like color correction and jump cuts and time lapses and things like that, and changing the angles of my video, like those things seem little, but they're cumulative. They make a significant difference on the number of views I get, and they make a significant difference on the number of engagements I get. So in YouTube, it's better if people comment, and it's better. Oh, good morning, Terasi, is that right? Did I say that right? Terasi, oh, thank you. Thank you for saying it out. I started reading. Good morning. Oh, you made it in. That's awesome. That's cool that you're here. That's a cool name too, by the way. But yes, what was I saying? I'm better than I was before. Everything is an improvement. Every iteration of improvement is cumulative. So Alex consistently says that to me. That's why it sounds like a line, because it is. But it's true. Every time I edit a video, I learn a little tidbit. I make it just a teeny bit better. And the video might not be great. And when you watch it, you might say, well, this isn't a great video. But if you look at a video that I made 6 months ago, you'll go, oh, well, it's great compared to that. And then if you see 6 months before that, you go, well, that one was great compared to the 6 months before that. So even though the improvements may be small and slow, they are steady and they don't negate each other. And I think the other thing that is important for me to continue recognizing is that the skills that I am developing through video editing and through running a small business and through just dealing with freaking taxes, like taxes as an individual or like healthcare as an individual, it's a lot to learn, but those things are important and they are transferable skills. So I used to work as well on Fiverr online, which is it's a company, it's an app that basically like you can put up an ad and say like, I'll edit your videos for $10 and people can say like, yes, buy it. And then they send you their video clips, or that's how I've done it anyway. Or like you can say, I'll draw a logo for $20. And back then I was charging like $5 to edit a 10-minute YouTube video. Like I think of that now, that would have been hours of work and I was accepting $5 comfortably. Like I was fine with that because I thought it's just not worth it for them to be paying much more than that. But at the same time, now I would never charge that amount because now the skills that I have are not comparable to that. And my YouTube channels, I have 2 channels and both of them act as portfolios, and just kind of recognizing that whatever the work you're doing, track it somehow. If you're doing online sales of like your handmade, so if you make like hats or gloves or something and you sell them online on Etsy, track it because it's like things that you've learned. Just learning how to organize shipping is something that is a transferable skill and is something that someone else will be willing to pay for, the knowledge that you have. So if you can find a way to monetize your skills, it's pretty much the goal. So find what skills that you have that are monetizable and then find out which ones you actually like pursuing on a regular basis. And for me, the skills that I have that I like pursuing are crochet design, video editing, and SEO. I'm trying to understand the back end of all of the internets and I haven't figured it out yet or anything, but I'm coming to understand much more clearly how those things work. Again, I have a very helpful friend in Alex in that he is a software engineer. So, I mean, like, I guess I have a one-up because he actually understands the things I'm trying to understand. He's not necessarily the best teacher, not for lack of trying. He's just, when you know too much, it's very hard to simplify it for someone who knows nothing, which is kind of the situation he and I are in. He knows so much about how the system works. It's very hard to explain how one part of it works because he understands like the whole machine of it. But like, he still helps me out there. Don't judge that I have 2 T's because it's just my thing sometimes. Also, I'm going to end up with an entire extra skein of, sorry, I was just checking if I have 2, with an entire extra skein of this brown heather. I know that I'm going to end up with like a lot extra. So now I'm going to make something with that. But I saw on that website I was talking about earlier, the free vintagecrochet.com, I saw a couple of patterns for like mittens that used sport weight. And so I have one of these. I have that benefit too. My husband has a radio background, so he can help edit my book. Oh, cool. You narrate books? That's really cool. That's awesome. I've seen that available on Fiverr as a thing, and I didn't realize that that was something that was, but of course it should be contracted out by people who have nice voices. So I guess you've got a nice voice then. And Nashville. I want to go to Nashville. I want to go to a lot of places. Alex and I want to spend some serious time in Japan and some serious time in Madagascar in our life. But when is kind of up in the air. So I want to go to our plan, which might change tomorrow, is when we get married, we're gonna leave for a couple of months after that, and I think that we'll stay in Japan for a couple of months. Ideally, we'll do the cherry blossom time. Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool. Reading the children's stories. That's cool. Well, what's your channel called? My sister's a teacher and she teaches young kids. I'm sure that would be something, because now they all have iPads at all the schools. They have iPads and like Beats by Dre headphones. And I'm like, geez Louise. When I was in school, it was like, if you were bleeding, you could go and get a Band-Aid. And now it's like you can't even throw snow. Everything's, it's a weird time, I guess. 2, 3. All right, come on. I wish this would speed up. Okay, cool. I'll have a look. That's cool. Thank you so much. I'll have a look at that and I'll send that to my little sister. And my mom. My mom's a teacher too. My mom and my sister. And they're both the best teachers in the world. Like my little sister, when she was like 8, it was already obvious that she was a great teacher. Like my mom could take her into school and like I'm just all over the place. I wouldn't even be able to help. But my little sister was, you know, when people have like a vocation, like they are meant to do something, that was my little sister. Oh, hold on one sec. 1, 2, 3. My father's calling. Hey, Daddy. What's up? Are you watching my live stream? What? My dad is watching my live stream. This is. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Well, I have to go because I'm doing it right now. Okay. That's so funny. Thanks, Daddy. I love you. Bye. Okay, bye. My dad just said, well, when I was in school, we had chalkboards and chalk. Hi, Dad. Anyway, so goofy. Yes, my little sister and my mom are both amazing teachers, and they were both meant for it. So that's funny. Now I don't know where to go with my stream of thought. Oh, God. Oh, a retired teacher. That's awesome. So you are the people who set up success for the next generation. I definitely will rely on teachers a lot because I have no idea how to do a lot of things. I can't wait to see this freaking sweater too. It's taken me way longer than I've anticipated working on it. And I think that's because I thought it would grow up very quickly because of those chain 3s. If you can see the stitches I used, I just need my face so I can see it. The stitches I did, it's like chain 3 and then single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. And I thought the chain 3 would build it up quickly, but the single crochets are shoving it back down. So it's taking a really long time, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be super cute. It's just taking a long time. And I don't know how I'm going to block it because it's not flat. It's tight at the top and it's tight at the bottom. So I don't know how I'm going to block that. I'm a little bit concerned, but I'm figuring that I'll figure that out when later, figure that out later. Alex, did you hear that? My dad called. That's so funny. Did you figure out the Yes, I figured them out last night. Okay, so I didn't do it on camera. I figured I would do the only one of the pieces on camera. I will show you what I figured out. So I did 4 rows of the same thing that like what I'm on right now. The last 4 rows of brown I did with the same stitch, and then the 5th. So there's 12 rows total. So I did row 5, 6, 7, 8. Instead of doing a chain 3, I just did a chain 2. So that tightened it up a little. And then 9, 10, I did chain 1 in between each stitch. And then 11 and 12, I just did a single crochet in each stitch across. So I didn't have to actually crochet 2 together at all. I just reduced it by reducing the number of chains between each one. So it's still super wide, like it's definitely wider than I need it, but I'm gonna have the neckline be about that big, and then this portion will be part of the sleeve. Like it'll be sewn in with the sleeves. So yeah, I figured it out. I don't know that it's gonna work perfectly yet, but I'm not super worried about that right now because there's always time to fix crochet. Crochet is the easiest thing to fix. Knitting, can't do it. I can't do it one bit. The reason is I am last minute Laura and I am a scatterbrained person and I make mistakes. So since I make mistakes, you know, I have to be able to correct them on the go. And knitting, it's kind of like you need to know way ahead of time what your things are. It is almost one size. It's almost, yeah. Like I think it would go up to like a regular XL around the bottom waist with the stretch, but I don't think it would make it to like 1X or 2X. I also think it might be a little bit excessive on an XS, extra small, but I think it could go from small to extra large, this one. And I'll check because I've got from small to extra large people in my life, so I'll test it on everybody. That might be a cool thing for the photos for it, is showing it on all different bodies. 2, 3. Because there was this Twitter excitement over that. Some company put the photos for their garments. They used 2 women of 2 different sizes in it, and the world exploded. But I liked it. I thought that was a nice thing. Like, why aren't we already doing it? Because who even is like 00? Who is that size in real life? Not very many people. But it's kind of cool having 2 photos, 2 people in one photo instead of just one. I thought that was a nice change. And they styled the garment differently. It was like a clubbing dress, and they styled it differently for both bodies, which I think is like right, because like every body is different and you're not going to wear the same thing the same way just because it is sold one way. I think that's something, a clubbing dress, can you imagine? Not for me, not my thing. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't really like go into that zone. You know what I mean? It's not my go-to vice, I will say. I just never got into the taste. Like, don't get me wrong, like I have had alcohol. I was in high school once. I know in the States you guys have some different ages, but in Canada, in Ontario, to be drinking in high school is not, it's not a faux pas. Like if you said that to someone as an adult, they wouldn't be like, oh, grasp my pearls. It's just not a big deal. So yes, I have drank before. And when I went to Portugal with my sister last year, I was drinking wine every single day, but I don't like it. I don't like what it tastes like. Obviously, being drunk or being tipsy can be fun. Obviously not like in an excessive way, but it can be fun, but it's not what I would prefer. I don't like the idea that I'm like gonna feel crappy tomorrow, and at the same time, like it doesn't last very long. It's not like for me, the taste of alcohol is not worth the fun that you get from having alcohol. So I would rather just, yeah, see, you can have like a drink once in a while. Like at Christmas, I'll have whatever thing my mom makes as the like my sister last year made mulled wine, which tasted terrible. Like for everyone thought it was terrible. It wasn't just me. But that is, I'll try that, or I'll drink when I feel like it. On average, I don't feel like it. So it's not my thing. However, we got into that. How did we even get into that I don't drink? Oh, because I don't go clubbing, because I don't wear club dresses. I also don't wear club dresses because I don't feel confident in my body in a club dress, and I don't understand why anyone would force their body into something that they don't feel good about themselves in. Like, it's just not my thing anymore. I feel very confident in myself now, like the way that I look. I don't have like anxiety or like body dysmorphia anymore, which is, I think, things that, okay, I definitely still have anxiety. Like, don't even quote that part because that is not gone. But I don't have anxiety about what I look like. I'm not worried about leaving the house in any one way anymore because it just doesn't make sense, because this is what I've got and it carries me around all day. Let's go into that, let's have some body positivity time, because we already did business talk. We already did mentorship. We already did family. Now let's talk about like bodies and how ridiculous it is. That I think that's another reason why I love fashion and I love like the 1950s. I do love just zipping up a really tight bodice on a dress, but like every day, just the idea of being uncomfortable every day, no thank you. But yeah, I have this thing that happened to me when I was maybe 20, 22 or 23. I just like woke up and thought like, what is even happening to the world? Why am I worried about what other people think of my body? Why am I letting someone else's, like, I just look now at like a cosmetics commercial and I feel like gross about it. Like I like that Sephora is trying to be like, look, boys can wear makeup and girls can wear makeup and everyone can wear makeup, doesn't matter. Like they're trying to make it like accessible or whatever. But the idea that you are dirty if you don't use a certain makeup removing face wash, or that you're not ready to go out until you put mascara on. Like the idea that's been like pushed that the finishing touches on your womanliness are in editing your appearance. I don't know. For me, like right now I'm wearing a lipstick. Reason being I'm wearing no other makeup and this dark area of my face is just like that. This is how it always looks. It's not in the morning worse than it is in the afternoon. The puffiness is already going away, but the darkness is always there. If I put lipstick on, it hides it in the camera a little bit. If I don't have lipstick on, then this is the darkest spot in my face, so it shows up more on camera. So that's one thing I don't love, but it's not a flaw I can fix. It's just that my blood vessels are very close to the top of my skin. You know what I mean? And things like my wrinkles. Like I'm 26 and I've got pretty substantial forehead wrinkles, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that I'm worth any less. And like the idea of that, exactly, you should be proud of them because these mean that I smile. Like these lines, these mean that I have a lot of facial expression. You know what I mean? They're all like any stretch mark that I have is because I grew. And if I'm no longer that size, it means that I changed. Like, I don't know. Like I think of it a lot more like I'm a machine and an animal. Like I need to feed my body because it needs to be fed to work because it's a machine. But also then I think of it like an animal. Like what other animal worries about zits? All things with skin get blemishes. Like an elephant will get skin problems, and so will a chimpanzee, and so will a cat or a dog. Like they all get blemishes, but like we're the only ones who have made that equal your worth. Like the idea that you can have a zit and feel crappy about it and not want to go out is so bizarre to me. And the fact that there are people who would look at someone and go like, you are worth less because of your blemished skin. Like that's just, the older I get, the more bizarre that is. And thinking of times when I was in high school and like I would get like a giant zit and I would not want to go to school that day. What? Like zits are, anyway, this idea that perfection is somehow even real is insane because like the perfection that they're saying is just not the way that it is. It is ridiculous. It's frustrating because when you talk to people about it, they go, yeah. But it doesn't change anything when they have to, like, you have to know it for yourself, I feel like. And I learned it for myself, I don't know, only a few years ago. And perfection for who? Exactly. Like, what is perfection? In high school, I believed that perfection was skinny, whatever that meant, skinny, just skinny. And then when I was in university, perfection just meant neat, as long as I was clean and neat. And then later in university, it became like perfect makeup meant perfection, as long as my eyebrows were done, as long as I had mascara on, as long as I had no freckles. I would cover all of my freckles. I would have like a monotone face and like some sharp contour in there. That's what perfection meant. Now, what perfection means to me is that I feel okay. It's less about what I look like. I'll look in the mirror, and if I feel okay, then I'll leave the house. If I look in the mirror and I need something else to make me feel okay, then I'll do that. If I need to put concealer under my eyes to feel okay, then I'll do that. And I don't know, like now I feel weird about covering up my freckles because when I cover them up, I don't feel that I look like myself all the way. Also, my arms are like fully freckled. So like to have a one color face and have totally freckled arms is just unrealistic. And people obviously know. Obviously they don't because no one's looking at you. That's the other thing that I think is something that you need to grow into, is that no one sees you. You think that you are the center. Everyone thinks that they're the middle of the whole world because you are the main character in your story, and everyone else who you walk by on the street is just an extra in your story. However, you too are an extra in their story. You don't matter. Think of like when you were at the bank, do you remember any of the people who were around you? And if you do, it's probably because something dramatic happened around that situation. Like on average, you don't remember what's going on, you know? So it's like, I think of that. You're the leading lady. Exactly. Hi, Denise. But yeah, you think you're like the main person and that it matters the decisions that you make, and they matter to your very small circle. And that's it. So if you feel comfortable around your friends and family one way, then honestly, just do that for the rest of your time. It's not worth it to be changing yourself and worrying about those types of things for people who truly do not even see you. And that sounds depressing that people don't see you, but they don't see you because they're so wrapped up. If you walk down the street, I'm sorry, I'm very motor mouth. Let me take a sip of tea before I start changing the subject again. Everyone is self-absorbed, absolutely. And it's not even in a way like where they're going like me, 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 me. It's more like that person has a sick family member, and that person has like an assignment due tonight, and that person really didn't get groceries yesterday, and now they have no eggs, and they needed to bake cookies, and now there's nothing in the house for them. Blah, blah, blah. Like they have regular thoughts just like you, and it's something that I really like doing when Alex and I go for walks, which we do every day. We go for a little city stroll. When I see people, I like to sort of make up their life. Like if we're walking, I like to see and say like, oh, maybe she has her partner at home and because she's got a smile on her face. Maybe she's headed towards her date and tonight she's going to get engaged. Or you'll see someone who looks really nervous and really sad, and it's, oh no, maybe they didn't study enough and now they're on their way home from a test and they have to tell their parents that they didn't do well. Like thinking about their experiences as full and complete human beings it's really fun, but it also opens up your eyes to the fact that like you don't matter because each one of them is just as detailed of a human being as you are. And it's really easy to kind of forget. And I think it's also easy to forget that when you're interacting with people, like the barista at your coffee bar, when they forgot the coconut milk, getting rude with them is insane, first of all, because like you are not better than them at all. If you're a lawyer who makes $200,000 a year, you are literally not a better human being than the barista who is a struggling actor, because you're both human beings with families and worries and things that you have to deal with. Let me just read my comments for a minute because I fell out a little bit. Everyone is self-absorbed, totally. Well, thank you for saying that. That's cool. But it's true to fantasize about other people is a cool way. It's a good thing if you write too, if you do like writing, to just look at other people and like make them characters in your story. But I think it's just important to recognize that every single person is just as much of a person as you, even if you don't understand them. Like people, that's something that I see a lot of in big cities, is that people will disrespect people that they don't identify with. Like if someone's taking too long to do something, they're going to be less likely to be okay with it if it's someone who isn't in their group. And you'll see that like in lines, and you'll have to step in. Hopefully you do step in when you see injustices happening at your grocery store. You could say like, hey, like, back off. Usually 45 to 55-year-old white man. Let's be honest. Unfortunately, that's usually who is perpetrating those things in a general, I'm not talking violence. I'm just talking like general assholery is usually like middle-aged white man. In my city anyway, that's usually who has to be told that's not cool. But I think a really cool way to never have to be told that you're doing something irritating is to just recognize that the person who is serving you may have had their dog die this morning. Like, is it really worth it to make them feel like somehow their worth is tied to your coffee? Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. They're at work. They're making minimum wage. Like, you are not their top priority. They have to pay their rent this month. Like, get out of here. Also, when you're like that jerk who like yells at the, I want to speak to your manager, you feel like you've vindicated yourself and you feel all tough. But like when you leave, that whole store talks about you for the whole rest of the day, and they tell other people who come into work about your general douchebaggery. So it's like an ineffective thing, and people think like, oh, if I'm tough, they'll give me what I want. Maybe, but everyone around you will think you're an asshole. So excuse my language, but be advised. Human beings are all worth the same. Don't be thinking you're any better than anybody else. And I think just being in that mindset is something that helps me keep moving forward and helps me try to be polite to people most of the time. I mean, totally. My mother used to say, be nice to everyone. You never know what they're going through, and smile. It might be the only one they get for the day. It's true. It might be. And also, you don't know that your crappy attitude isn't the thing that just sets them off into a dark day. Like, if you say something backhanded, or if you are rude to someone, it might be just the tip, just the last thing they need to just ruin a whole day. So, for example, for me, when I have like a really bad day and everything's spinning out of control, it's not spinning out of control in real life. It's just in my head. And what I mean by that is I have a struggle in terms of prioritizing what I should worry about, which sounds a little bit, it sucks. Basically, when I'm overwhelmed, all of my priorities, all of my thoughts, all of the things I'm worried about, they all amplify so that they feel as though they're at level 10. So I have to give the dog a bath. I have to submit my taxes. I have to get groceries. I have to edit a video. I have to call my mom. And the apartment is a mess. And so I have to clean. And then I have real things that I have to get done. Like I have to submit a grant paper, or I have to submit documents for some due date. But all of those things feel as though they are at the same level of importance. And so I'll get overwhelmed going, I can't do anything. I can't complete anything. But it's not real. It's the dog doesn't need a bath today at the same level of importance that I need to submit a document for a grant. They're just not the same level. But when I get stressed and overwhelmed, they feel like that. So if I go and I interact with someone in a business setting and they're like crappy to me, it may hurt more than it makes sense that it does, because everything else is still happening. So I think I try to treat people with respect because I know how hard I take it when I'm already having a bad day. When I'm having a good day, you could like literally shove me out of the way with like attitude and I'll just be like, that sounds like a you problem. But on a bad day, it hurts as though someone who knows you said it, you know? So I think that recognizing that is important. And also when you know that if you go into like an average Starbucks, if you ask the barista like what they like to do, a lot of them have a side hustle. So like when people say, well, if they don't like working there, they should work somewhere else. Like that's not realistic because like you have bills to pay. So saying that to someone doesn't really work. And if they were rude to you, it probably was for a different reason, unless it was because you were a jerk. If you were a jerk, then you probably deserved it. Not you specifically, just the general population of you. The you, you know, like how they say and you in general, you know what I mean? I like to think of it like how, do you remember the old Bambi movie when Thumper the rabbit is complaining about something his mother says, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And as you may have recognized already by this live stream that is an hour and 25 minutes long, I'm not very good at not saying anything at all. So when I make an effort to, when I interact with someone now, and I think this is a really good tip, start every interaction with a stranger with a compliment. Every single one. It'll get you so much farther. It also sets you up to feel better about that interaction. So, example, you go to a store, see somebody, look at them, you can find one thing you like. You always can, even if it's someone who is clearly not someone you would necessarily interact with on a daily basis. You can say, wow, your makeup looks flawless today, or I love the color of your hair, or wow, you have beautiful posture. My favorite one is your eyebrows look fantastic, because girls love hearing that. And on top of that, it's just, it sets you up to be in a positive mood to interact with a person, and it sets them up to feel that you're not a jerk. So even if they were having a bad day, people are, in general, happy to be nice when you're nice. So there's your tip for the day. The next time you interact with any stranger, start it with a compliment and see if it gets you a little bit farther. Totally. Yeah. You can catch more flies with sugar or honey than water. Then vinegar. Geez, I read it and then tried to quote it and it didn't go over well. Totally. Oh, I love hanging out with you too. I love reading the comments and being able to like chat with you guys. It's so much more fun than like when I finish editing a video, usually on YouTube, I check the comments in the morning and I do reply to them, but it's more fun to be able to like live action talk to you guys. Plus then my streams of consciousness like these unplanned, it's more fun when it's unplanned because this is just a constant I think tornado is more like it. It's like a tornado, but in the middle of the tornado, there's like a little old lady with a filing cabinet. So there's a tornado of worry just sort of spiraling in my brain. But at the same time, I have really good recall for things. So that lady who lives up in my brain and gives me I imagine, okay, let me just slow down. When I'm having a hard time, or not when I'm having a hard time, when somebody has a suggestion and says like, oh, you remember that song? My brain is the one that there's somebody going like, this is the song. That's me. A tornado of worry surrounded by a very good librarian. She does a good job keeping my stuff organized for me. And my memory is pretty good, I think. I understand that you are working on a sweater and doing the tutorial at the same time. Yes, so what I do for my tutorials is I make one, so for every sweater, there's 2 sleeves and 2 body pieces. So I make 1 body piece and 1 sleeve off camera, and then I do 1 sleeve and 1 body piece on camera, and that allows me to have some sanity left, because if I filmed the whole thing on camera, I would go insane, because I can't have music playing when I film on for YouTube videos because I'm speaking at the same time to teach, and I can't have video playing for the same reason. I can't have any audio ending up in the actual video, which means that I'm like trapped in silence for hours, which doesn't work very well for me. So I don't usually love that part so much. Plus I need to like move angles around for the tutorial part of the videos. So yeah, I figured live streaming was a cool way to sort of diversify my portfolio a little bit, because I'm already having to do this. Like this is something I have to do, and it requires me to be using my hands and my eyes. So it's not like I can be editing a video while I'm crocheting. I have to be using my hands for this. So live streaming made it I don't know, feel more productive anyway, because then at least I'm like engaging with something. Like I'm able to talk to you guys, which is like amazing. Because how often do I get to talk to people? Before live streaming during the day, it was like when Alex was in like going into work, it's like I have a phone call with my dad usually once a day, because he's a farmer now. So like he takes a break in the afternoon and we just chit chat pretty much, maybe not daily anymore, but like definitely a couple of times a week I talk to my dad. And I talk to my mom too often, but my mom and I, we do way better in person, like we hang out. But my dad and I do way better on the phone. And so they're like, he's like my point of contact during the day. In the evening, sometimes I'll talk to my sisters, like a couple of times a week. Once every couple of weeks, I talk to my brother. So yeah, I speak to people, like speak to them. This sounds like I'm a recluse now. For the most part, I kind of am. So since I'm alone a lot of the time, I'm not speaking a lot of the time, which also means that this type of conversation ends up happening at a real person. Not that you're not a real person at all. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm not interrupting anyone right now. I'm just talking. But when it's in a conversation and I have this kind of energy, it can be a little bit much for people because if you don't let this energy out once in a while, it can just sort of bombard over everybody in a conversation. And for the most part, my family understands that about me and they can say like, stop without like hurting me because I don't feel offended when people say like, you need to stop talking because I understand that. So, but yeah, so this has been really like, I want to say therapeutic. It's like hanging out with friends, which is awesome. So I think this is going to be something I'm going to just incorporate, like going for a nice long walk every day and live streaming every day. I feel like those are both good for my mental health. As long as we keep it like a small amount of people. I kind of like it with just 6 people right now. 6 to 10 people seems like a good number. If there's too many, I feel like mean people can show up and then it'll be hard for me to read comments. So I think that we could just keep it between us and then we can just all be hanging out together. Let me get back into these comments, see what we got. So doing it. Oh, I love hanging out with you guys. We did that. Yes. I wondered how long it takes to do that. I always think it takes me so long to do a project. See, it takes the teacher almost the same amount of time. Totally. Work from home and I'm home alone for many hours of the day. Yeah, well, then you should join a live stream. Well, I mean, like, obviously you've joined this one, but I mean, you just start live streaming. Maybe you'll find that it's therapeutic for you too. The only thing I will say is make a list of things you don't want to talk about before you ever start, because there are certain things you don't necessarily want to say, like your exact address is probably something you should leave out, or like, I don't know, personal details of people that you haven't received consent for giving personal details about, that sort of thing. I have a little list because when I'm just talking, I can very easily accidentally say something that I don't mean to. But yeah, as long as you've kind of considered that, what you don't feel comfortable saying, or like if you decide you don't want to be swearing on your live stream like I had originally thought. It just came out a couple of times today because that's the way that I speak when I'm speaking colloquially. That being said, I would never be talking so with so many swear words in front of my immediate family. Well, my siblings, obviously, but I mean like my parents and my grandparents. That's not my vocab style. I'm a little bit more polite, I think. Passionate about what you believe. Yeah, that's what it is. It's when I get a little bit too into it that sometimes the only word that works is a swear word, you know? It's true. The only time I've been swearing is when I was talking about jerks in a retail environment. So I think that they deserve a swear word anyway. Okay, I'm almost at my 4th row, which means it's almost time for my decrease, which is exciting, but I have to do that on camera. Not on camera for you guys, on camera at my little film station. So I'm gonna finish this row anyway. Which, can you tell how long this is freaking taken to finish this row? And I'm not like the slowest crocheter in the world. I'm not like high speed or anything, but I'm not the slowest, and this thing is taking me a very long time. So I'm definitely going to love it, but it's definitely Not something I'm going to make a duplicate of anytime soon. That's for sure. So for the ones of you that are here, should I bother with my roots? What do you think? I'm not gonna lie, I may not take your advice anyway, but I'm asking because I kind of think they look cool. Like, I know that it's not the right way for my hair to look, like it should be all pink, but I don't know, it's almost like the shadow of my root makes me feel like it looks cool. I like it. But I don't know, maybe I should, yeah, right now they look cool. I think so. I think that maybe if it grows out a little bit more, I think I might keep the root part like this long. Like next time when it grows out, maybe I'll only bleach it up so that I have a little bit of a root. I don't know. It makes it feel, I know it doesn't look like it's a natural color or anything, but it almost makes it look like it, like natural. You know how like blonde people have like a darker blonde root? I don't know. I'm into this, this pink hair business right now. And my family is finally 100% over it. Everybody in the whole family. I mean, all my siblings have been very much cool with it always, but no, it just grew out. It definitely didn't happen on purpose. What happened was I bleached my whole head several months ago. And this is just later. I've dyed pink on top a few times. But I remember when I started dyeing my hair pink, the first time my parents were like, oh, but they didn't get mad or anything because I'm a grown up. But I mean, they definitely were a little bit surprised. I think now though, it's been a couple of years that I've had pink hair, like 2 years in February, or maybe it's 3 years in February. Yeah, I think it's 3 in February. So I've been pink haired for a while, but I think I've actually had pink hair longer than I've actually kept any other color since beginning dyeing my hair. I've had every color under the rainbow, and I used to be so scared of bleaching my hair because I was worried it would like break off, but now I'm like, it'll grow back. It literally, I'm gonna live one time. As far as I'm aware, this is my only trip around like this rock in the middle of the cosmos, so I'm gonna have pink hair. Like, who cares? That's kind of where I'm at for now, anyway. Until I want to have blue hair, and then I'll have blue hair. I won't have blue hair. I'm gonna let you know right now. I don't think I'll ever have blue hair because it doesn't look good on my skin. It makes me look sick. Whenever I have any cool tones, I look like I am like genuinely under the weather. But there's a little fun fact for you. Fun fact Thursday: Laura cannot rock blue hair, but I can rock pink hair. So much so that my little sister even said that if I wanted to, I could keep it pinkish for her wedding, which is a big deal because she didn't even want anyone to have visible tattoos at her wedding. And she's doing like, my little sister is getting married next summer, and her wedding stuff is going to be like, she's got like the soft pink and the blush tones and like all the taupe, like she's going to have very trendy and beautiful wedding. And she was like, you can have rose gold hair for the wedding. That's basically pink. So that means that she thinks it really suits me well enough that she thinks it can reflect well in her wedding, which I feel pretty cool about because like I like my pink, but I was totally willing to take the pink out for her wedding because I don't care. It's her wedding. It's her wedding photos, whatever she wants. I don't understand when people get super upset anymore about weddings. Like I used to understand totally like, oh, how could anyone make the bridesmaids wear that? Oh, how could anyone force this on these people? But now I'm thinking of it, I'm like, it's the party is for you. Like you're throwing a party for yourself. I don't understand why anyone else, like why would it matter what I have to wear to it? It just doesn't make sense to me. That might be tomorrow's topic. I think that tomorrow I'm going to talk about marriage, weddings, my plan for both of those things, and why you definitely do not have to get married in any order. You do not have to, like, unless you have specific like religious guidelines that you follow, which is more power to you. If that is not the case, then there are no rules. You don't have to get married at 25 and have a baby at whatever age. You can do any of those things in the order that works best for you and your family. So you know what? If you want to talk about that with me tomorrow, marriage, kids, and general life decisions, and Oh, I like red and pink hair too. My mom's actually a natural redhead. I'll just let you know. Like, and I'm like, when I say red, she's not like an orange ginger. Her hair is like red, like fire, like close to unnatural red. Like when I look at her pictures from when she was young, before she had ever dyed her hair, because I mean, like now obviously she touches it up a little bit, but before she had ever touched her hair, it was like red, like the most beautiful. She had 4 kids. None of us came out with red hair, so I'm kind of close now, I guess. We all came out looking like redheads, though. We just didn't come out with the hair part. We all came out blonde or brown. Anyway, if you want to talk about family, love, marriage, and weddings, I think that's going to be, yeah, my pink is a diluted homage to my mom. But yeah, come by tomorrow. I'm going to do another live stream tomorrow at 7 a.m. where I am going to be starting a new project because this sweater is getting done today. So I won't be able to show it to you tomorrow. I'll show it to you on I'll be live streaming again on the weekend. So I'll show you on the weekend because tomorrow it will be blocking. It won't be available for you to see because it'll be on my floor with pins stuck in it blocking. But yeah, thank you for coming today. It's been awesome. I mean, almost 2 hours we hung out and I got all of the rows before my decrease. I have to film the rest. So I have to go now over to the other side of my room to film my tutorial, which is going to be out not next Tuesday, the Tuesday after that. But I'll be here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Make your tea and then come by and we can get ready for our days together and talk a little bit about marriage, weddings, babies, family in general. I think that'll be a nice topic for tomorrow. I'll make a little bit of notes on it today so that I have a little bit more organization. Maybe I just won't. I'll let you know in the morning. But that's it for today. So thank you so much for stopping by. It was really nice to talk to you guys. It was awesome to chat. Terasi. It's gonna take me a little bit to remember because I'm reading it as Terasi. Terasi. It was lovely to chat with you. Thank you so much for commenting so much. And Paulette and Denise, it was awesome. Also so nice to talk to you guys too. And I hope you come by tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. if you're in my time zone. If not, then whatever time it is now, minus 2 hours in your time zone. See you tomorrow, guys.